Welcome to another episode of The Sports Club, a podcast presented by the Jamaica Observer. I'm Daniel Blake. Today our topic is about cricket. Yes, cricket. We don't talk about it a lot, but cricket returned to the island for the first time in quite a few years. So we will talk about that. And also a major issue involving the Jamaica Scorpions, or franchise team here, which led to no champion being crowned in the regional Super 50 tournament. So we will focus on those two topics. I'm flying solo today, but hopefully you will still enjoy and participate in the conversation with me. So, Test cricket for the first time since 2021 held right here in Kingston, Jamaica at Sabina Park. West Indies took on Bangladesh in the second test of their series. The last time we hosted was, as I mentioned, in 2021. It was against Pakistan. And it is actually just the third test series held in Jamaica since 2019. We hosted India here in 2019, but it hasn't been, a hub for international cricket. As you may remember, our government decided to not bid for the 2024 T20 World Cup, which was held earlier this summer, because they said that the cost would outweigh the benefits. So firstly, I want to talk about just the whole atmosphere and, the future of Test cricket here in Jamaica. So I went to the games on Saturday and Sunday, as I do, because I work here for the Observer. And to be very honest with you, I was surprised. I was surprised for two reasons. One, on Saturday, play didn't start until 3 p.m. It was supposed to start at 10 a.m., but because the pitch on the outfield was soggy, remember we had rains for maybe about a week and a half straight. So the pitch was soggy, the outfield was soggy, so the umpires said that, it wasn't able to host. Well, not to host. The game wasn't ready to begin as yet because it would have been very dangerous to do so. So even though the sun was shining, it was the first time in a week that the sun was out for so long. So there was a lot of frustration around that. But when play started at 3 p.m., there was a decent crowd. Now, bear in mind, Sabina Park hosts 20,000 people. And there were probably maybe around 1,000 people in total in the entire stadium. So it's going to look very small. But for Test cricket here in the region, to have 1,000 people turn out for a test match, that was incredible. So remember, the match was supposed to start at 10 and 1,000 people still showed up at 3 p.m. to watch only 2 hours of play. And then on Sunday, there was a little bit more, and there was the involvement of the Jamaica under-13 players. They came and they watched. There were a few high schools who were there as well, and obviously the fans, but also the vendors. I expected to see maybe 1 or 2 vendors kind of battling, but there were at least, from my recollection, about 10 to 15 vendors. And I found that amazing that, they felt that coming to Sabina Park would have been beneficial to them. And I obviously won't know their sales, but it looks like they were getting some business. So that was good. The play itself was better than nothing, for sure. We did very well, especially in that first innings with Jaden Seals creating history, bowling out Bangladesh. But the main thing I wanted to talk about is if Test cricket should continue to come to Jamaica, and would it be viable? I say yes. And the reason why I say yes is because I think if you market it well, then it will work. So we just had 1,000 people, as I mentioned, over the 5 days or whenever, right? What if the Jamaica Cricket Association, who controls Sabina Park for the most part, is responsible for cricket here on the island? As much as West Indies, tries to promote the sport and try to get people there, to me, I think it is the JCA's responsibility to get people in the stadium. So simple things like going to the surrounding high schools. So Sabina Park is very near to North Street. Call it basically North Street. It's surrounded by Kingston College, St. George's College, Holy Trinity, Alpha is right there. So if the JCA were to go to those principals and say, look, we have some tickets here. It's for $800 a day, but what we're going to do is we're going to charge you just $100. We really want your students to come and see it. So whether that's students who participate in your cricket competitions, because most of these schools have, obviously not Alpha, but KC, Trinity, George's, they have under 19 and under 15 cricket teams and so forth. If they could say, hey, have those cricketers come and for a very, very discounted cost, and let them see what they can transition to. Because to me, as much as some people play sports in high school for fun, this could be a career going forward. So why not show them people who have been successful in making a career out of it, right? So go to them and say, hey, come. For those doing physical education in the primary schools, because I think Jesse Ripple is above the road as well. Clancarty isn't too far away as well. So if you go to those schools and say, look, here are 1,000 tickets or 2,000 tickets, wanna come. And then you just continue to push it to corporate and everybody and say, look, only can leave work half day. I'm not sure how those conversations with the bosses will go, because obviously cricket doesn't pay your bills. But you just have to find very creative ways to get people inside the stadium. And then what then happens is that a buzz starts to happen. So that's even what happened when we had the CPL here. When we had the CPL for the very first year, the stadium wasn't as full as, I think a lot of people expected, but people started to realize that, whoa, this is a vibe. And then they started to add the party elements a little bit more, artists performing. And then people who never even liked cricket were just coming because it was an experience. So I think marketing test cricket as an experience here in Jamaica is going to be important. Not necessarily for the play itself, because to be very honest with you, a lot of people have lost interest in cricket. A lot of people, especially the new generation, may not understand cricket. So basically, you just have to sell them an experience. So that's something that I think the JCA should do, along with trying to get, the young cricketers into the stadium. Call them schools, call them parents, and say, hey, just come inside for $100. We will seat you. We'll ensure that you get some sort of food or whatever, and make the stadium look full to a point where people will continue to come. But Australia are expected to come to the Caribbean next year in June and July. The JCA president, Dr. Donovan Bennett, he says that they are expected to get a game. So we will see what happens there. And maybe because it's summer, maybe more people will be able to turn out because, you're on holiday and those type of things. But then sun hot. So we will sort of have to manage that. But it's very good to see that there are some people who are still very much interested in seeing test cricket in Jamaica. Speaking of cricket and Jamaica, Jamaica made the final of the Regional Super 50 tournament, which was to take place on November 23. but things didn't quite go how a lot of people wanted. So it was to be held in Trinidad, and there was some rain that prevented play from starting earlier. So at around after 5 p.m. and so forth, the officials said, all right, the game can still go on, and we will reduce it to 20 overs a team, right? But the Jamaica Scorpions, led by their captain John Campbell, and the Barbados Pride, who we should have played, and their captain Raymond Reefer, didn't show for the toss. The teams didn't leave the dressing room, reportedly because they weren't happy with the conditions of the field. I'm told that they thought that it was still pretty dangerous to go out there and play, but the umpires and the match officials were like, no, it's fine, trust me, right? So the toss was to take place at 6 p.m. and then the match should have started like about 15 minutes after. But the captains didn't show, the teams didn't leave the dressing room, which meant that both teams forfeited the final. So the Scorpions, who didn't win a game in 2023, improved this year and actually made the final, had the chance to win, as well as pocketing US $100,000, which I believe you can use an own calculator for that. But that's quite a bit of money to get, especially in these times. But both teams forfeited, and now there's a huge issue around that because John Campbell, who only recently returned to cricket because of the ban that he was serving, and Raymond Reefer are now facing 8 months for their role in the situation. The CWI president, Dr. Kishore Shallow, came out and said, what they did was damaging to the brand, especially because the tournament had been struggling for years to get eyes and support and so forth. I didn't like the fact that the teams and the captains didn't show. It was, I think that if they thought that it was unsafe, my thing is prove to the match officials that it was unsafe, right? We don't know the full reason, but that is what's being reported. So do not try to forfeit, 1, a championship, and 2, money. Like, I don't think that's worth it. So I think what they should have done is go out for the toss and basically prove to the officials that things were unsafe. So when the bowler running up, if him realize and say, hold on right there, so that patch right there, so it feel kind of heavy, and if I'm to run even faster than that, or if I'm to bowl a second delivery, I think I might twist my ankle. If the batsman is batting and him realize that the ball bounces a certain type of way, then you say to the match official, hold on, I don't think I feel safe. But I don't think that staying in your dressing room and, in a sense, protesting like that, rather than going out there and proving to the officials that you're actually wrong, this is unsafe. Going about it the way they did, I don't think they thought about it properly, especially because our president, the JCA president, Dr. Donovan Bennett, over the last few months since he's been elected president, he's been trying to get more international games back in Jamaica. So can you imagine that he now has to do this repair job? We're told that he's already spoken to the Cricket West Indies president, Dr. Shallow, who was actually in Jamaica for the test match, and basically trying to calm the situation, saying it won't happen again and apologizing and everything. But I really think the teams didn't think it through, and it's sort of unfortunate because while they may have been doing it for a good cause, I don't think that it was executed properly. And now both teams, and especially the captains themselves, are going to face some serious consequences. So in the coming weeks, you can see the updates on what happens in the Jamaica Observer. So stay tuned to that. But it's good to see that cricket is getting some attention, and we hope that you will continue to support our cricket teams, not only just locally, but regionally. Remember to continue to watch the Sports Club here on the Jamaica Observer's YouTube channel. Continue to like and comment, and ensure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Until next time, see you then.